What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today's video is going to be on the Detroit Pistons, and we're going to be talking about how this team continues to flash their potential, and we're going to jump right into the video. And I'm going to start off with saying that coming into this season, I was very optimistic as a Detroit Piston fan. Just looking back at last season, I feel like Jeremy Grant had a really solid season for us, and then I feel like Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, those guys showed us a bunch of potential that they have within themselves. And what really made me optimistic coming into the season is that we landed the #1 pick in the draft, which ended up turning into Cade Cunningham, which I think was 100% the right pick. So with all that being said, I thought we were going to come into the season being a lot more competitive than what we were, but that just wasn't the case. And as a fan, sometimes you catch yourself being emotional. You start saying stuff like, we need to fire this coach, we need to fire this guy, we need to trade him. But the fact of the matter is, and I think what we got to realize is that the Detroit Pistons is one of the youngest teams in the NBA, so it's going to be a lot of growing pains. And I don't think, and that's the thing, I don't think our struggles were talent coming from a lack of talent. I think our struggles was just coming from chemistry issues, us being a young team and just making young mistakes. And that's what you see when you watch this Detroit Pistons team play. You just see them make mistakes that young players make, and then you just see like they still just figuring each other out. So as the season progresses, and especially recently, the Detroit Pistons are getting better and better. We're finding the right rotations, and we're just basically figuring out how to win basketball games. And if you look, I think the turning point, or I should say the climax of the season for us, were at the trade deadline. And what happened at the trade deadline, not only did we acquire a very solid player in Marvin Bagley, but I just feel like we let go of two players that wasn't really benefiting us much. Like a guy like Josh Jackson, he showed us flashes of what he could be, but he was very inconsistent. And I feel like he's taking up minutes from other guys that could be developing. And then also Trey Lyles, solid NBA player in this league, but he's just a guy that doesn't help none of the young guys, or his game doesn't complement none of the young guys on our team. So I feel like getting rid of those two guys helped us tremendously. And then Marvin Bagley, since he's come here, he's been nothing but spectacular for the Detroit Pistons. And he's another guy who's full of potential because he's only 22 years of age, and just a few years ago he was the #2 pick in the 2018 draft. So he is filled with potential, and since he's come to the Pistons, he's just opened up a whole bunch of things for himself and for other players on this team. And when I watch Marvin Bagley play, I'm like, man, can we throw him the ball more? Can we throw the ball down to him more in the post? Because since he's come to the Pistons, I don't think I've ever seen him miss. I don't think I've seen him miss on his post-up attempts. So he's been really good in that area. And then also, I feel like he's been really good for guys like Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham, because with him in that screen and roll, he's not a great pick setter at all. I be watching games. He don't be hitting nobody with them screens, but he's such a great roller. He's such a great finisher at the rim. He gives those two guys a security blanket. So with Cade Cunningham, Cade is so elite, and he got the in-between game. So if defenses, if they start to play the lob, Cade Cunningham, his mid-range game is going to be wide open. So I feel like Marvin Bagley, he's helped us and helped other guys on this team tap into that potential. And I feel like he's been a great, solid pickup for the Detroit Pistons. And one more thing before we get off Marvin Bagley, he also gives us that depth to our bench. There's been a lot of games this season where our bench would come in and they just would not give us no production. They couldn't get us no points. And the bad thing about that is Dwayne Casey likes to play the second unit for a long time. So if we're gonna have our second unit out there for that long, I feel like we gotta have somebody out there that can be impactful. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Killian Hayes and Marvin Bagley off the bench. So that's that. And then another thing that I feel like how the Detroit Pistons, how they're tapping into their potential, is the confidence of Sadiq Bey. And Sadiq Bey was a guy, like I said, I got to be honest with you guys, I was getting caught up. I was being emotional as a fan earlier in the season when he was going through his shooting slump. I said some things I shouldn't have said about him, but he's making me eat my words, and I'm really glad what I've been seeing from him lately. And like I said, he did struggle earlier on with his three-point shot, and now it seems like he's fine. He's over this last like couple of months, His three-point shot is getting better and better. I know earlier in the season, I think it was around 30% or 29%. Now he's got it all the way up to 34%. So he's been shooting the lights out. And not only that, Sadiq Bey has been coming up clutch. He's been one of the best clutch players on the Detroit Pistons over these last couple of games. And he's just been spectacular. And what I'm liking from him, that he's not just being a shooter, but he's starting to learn how to use his big body, because if you look at Sadiq Bey, he has a really solid frame. You know, he's a built guy. So sometimes when he got a smaller defender on him, he takes him to the rim, or even better, he posts him up, and he's got a couple of post moves in his bag. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Sadiq Bey, and him and Cade Cunningham, they're coming a very legit duo. And that's another thing. That's another way that the Detroit Pistons are tapping into their potential, is Cade Cunningham learning the game, learning the game of basketball. I should say learning the game of NBA basketball, because each and every night, Cade Cunningham, he's starting to go at his pace. He's starting to control the game, and I kind of seen it last night against the Indiana Pacers, and this was really mature of Cade Cunningham. The Detroit Pistons had got a pivotal stop. I can't remember the timestamp, but it was a very low amount of time left in the game, and he just showed that the Pistons got a rebound, and it was like a fast break opportunity, but he didn't rush and run straight to the rim and try to get a crazy layup. He slowed the game down, and he got into the half court set, and the Pistons ran a good play and stuff like that. I feel like that's so pivotal for players' development, is just learning how to play at the right place at the right times in NBA games, because we all know that you can't go 100%. You can't go 100% speed at all times. Like we see that with a guy like Russell Westbrook. We done seen him lose so many games because he doesn't know when to switch the pace up or when to slow the game down. So Cade Cunningham, he's another Detroit Piston that's just been great in the clutch. Him and Sadiq Bey, they're a very great 1-2 punch, and I'm just loving what I'm seeing for these guys. And it's just hard not to be filled with happiness, because we can see our team coming together right before our eyes. So it's very special. And then there's so many guys that's been playing better, like Jeremy Grant. He's starting to fit in with these young guys, and he's starting to let them do their things. He's not taking that many, contested shots or double team shots. He's starting to pass the ball and trust these young guys more. And I tell you a guy who I'm really excited to see get more minutes, Isaiah Livers. And he's a guy that we drafted that shot. He was a sharpshooter, and in college, I think he shot 42 or 43% from the three in college, and he's just been out with a foot injury, and we're just not getting him back. And I feel like he's going to be very pivotal in that second unit, because like I said, I feel like we have a very solid starting five, but we just lack a little bit of depth on the bench unit. So I'm hoping that he can pan out and be a sharpshooter, and he's showing flashes of what he can be in the minimum amount of minutes that he's played. So once he's starting to get more and more healthy, hopefully he gets more and more minutes. So I'm trying to think our Pistons, they're flashing their potential. I'm trying to make sure I haven't missed anything or missed out on any guys. I think the only guy I haven't talked about is Killian Hayes. And Killian Hayes, like I said, we just have to be patient with him, because he was our 7th pick in the draft last season. And I wouldn't say he's at where we want him to be at, but like I said, he's making those he's taking those baby steps, and he's getting better and better one game at a time. But what I like about him is, as I've been watching the Pistons' most recent games, he's been playing some really great on-ball defense. He gets a lot of stops, and he puts a lot of pressure on the opposing team's point guard. So I like that about him. And then his playmaking abilities are spectacular. We just need him to be more aggressive and hit his shots. But that's going to be it, man. I just have to touch on that I'm very proud of my Pistons right now. And that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below if you like what you're seeing from the Pistons, and then subscribe for weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.